There are many things that bring someone great comfort in life. Relaxing by the beach, watching a cozy movie, hanging out with a loved one, rising up in revolution against your planetary oppressors in the name of your glorious eldritch gods from beyond the stars! Or even something as simple as just having your favorite home-cooked meal. Different strokes for different folks, even if those different folks are currently playing the end of days underneath your very feet as we speak.
Oh.
Hello and welcome to the first in what may or may not be many videos I'll be making on this channel about history or the lore from various games or properties I like. Now, I spent a while thinking about what was going to be my first, and with the new codex that came out not too long ago, I thought it might be a good idea to make a little rundown on the lore of some folks I hold at least an arm's length of my heart. So allow me to tell you all about the mysterious, the clever, the sneaky, and the incredibly bloody terrifying, if you think of them for longer than 3 seconds, Genestealer Cults. Genestealer Cults are a subfaction of sorts of the larger Tyranid threat. These terrifying spacefaring Lovecraftian abominations usually go from planet to planet, devouring literally everything in their path and converting anything that remains into a nice biomass movie for on the road. As you may imagine, this is bad news for quite literally everyone in the 41st millennium ever. Can't exactly have a good scrap or a galaxy-spanning empire if everything is turned to slush. And chaos can't really kill, corrupt and consume souls if the fleshy puppets containing said souls have been turned into a frappuccino. So as is typical of the pesky biomass, it didn't take very much before they started trying to fight back against the Nids and kill them dead. Keyword being trying, as the bugs are some resilient little buggers, but nonetheless it did serve to occasionally throw a spanner in the works of the Hive fleets. As it turns out, it's not exactly easy to eat someone who's currently shooting you in the face. Or, you know, nuking the planet you're currently standing on. This probably put the Tyranid hive mind at a bit of a standstill. It wanted to keep going and eat everything, and the squishy fleshlings were making this very difficult for them. But what if there was a way to, let's say, infiltrate the planet before making contact? To turn off defenses, sabotage military actions, or at the very least have an ally on the inside? Someone to make the job that little bit easier for when the cosmic dinner bell rings and the Hive fleet descends upon the world looking for snacks. It was probably from this, horribly oversimplified, thought process that the Genestealer was created. A Tyranid creature that was already capable of killing you dead in many equally fun ways, be it through multiple claws or a nice bite to the face, now packaged with a brand new terrifying feature: the ability to have the horror actually follow you home. You see, Genestealers have this nasty habit to skulk around in darker isolated places, silently waiting for a perfect bit of prey to accidentally stumble too close to their hidey holes. When a target is spotted, and most importantly alone, the Genestealer can then pop out behind the poor soul and give them a helping of something called the Genestealer's Kiss. Now this sounds a lot more romantic than it actually is, as the Genestealer hypnotizes its victim and gives them a nice poke with his tongue, before disappearing into the shadows once more. A couple hours later, the victim wakes up as if they have just had a few too many drinks of mjöd and carry on with their life with no recollection of what had just happened, and definitely not of what is still going to happen. After this little run-in, the poor fellow who got licked continues on with her life, gets older, and eventually might even meet someone truly special. The loving couple might eventually even settle down in the least smelly section of the hive, go on dates, look at the stars together, do what loving couples tend to do, and eventually give birth to a multi-limbed alien abomination hungry for flesh. Confused? Let me break it down for you a bit. This whole Genestealer's Kiss business is far more than just some strange alien fetish, but is actually a way for the Genestealer to infect its victim with a nice helping of Tyranid DNA. Now, the victim is largely unaffected by this, except for maybe a subconscious push to procreate someday. I feel sorry for the Genestealers who've accidentally infected League players. But once they do end up doing the dirty deed, the resulting offspring will be far from a regular little baby, but will instead end up being some sort of disturbing Genestealer human hybrid with an insatiable appetite for biomass slurpees. Now, you might be asking why the parents don't immediately toss their little darling into a nearby dumpster and make for the nearest Imperial Church. And the answer to that question is some wonderful Genestealer magic. You see, after this whole situation has happened, the unlucky parents will be officially plugged into the Genestealer's Wi-Fi connection and will begin seeing the world in a whole different light. The horrible abomination currently in their arms will look like an adorable, peaceful and slightly malformed little baby, and the original Genestealer won't look nearly as nightmarish in their eyes. From this point onwards, the parents usually flee in order to prevent the mean Imperial police officers from stomping their dearest little darling, and the first seeds of a Genestealer cult are planted. So usually this loving couple and their horrible nightmarish spawn won't be the only case of this happening. Genestealers are busy creatures and usually get to work to try and infect as many unlucky victims as quickly as possible. That way, if one host is discovered, turns out to actually be a League player, or dies, which isn't terribly uncommon in the 41st millennium, there will still be plenty of other cases that will hopefully fare better. These infected families will, over time, find each other through their shared Wi-Fi connection and set up shop in some dark corner of the Underhive together, forming little communities that will eventually grow over time and come to revere the OG Genestealer as a godlike deity, messenger of the gods, you get the idea. No matter what way they swing, they think, this guy is pretty swell, and it is planted into their brains that there are some even sweller dudes coming over to treat them all to chocolate cake, massages and free drinks. Eventually, technically, well, there'll at least be some sort of cakes and free drinks. In like 100 years or so, Tyranids aren't exactly the speediest bunch in the universe when it comes to space travel. As this group of like-minded individuals grows and grows, the Genestealer that licked them all will also begin to level up. As he is now basically the host of his own little mini hive mind, he will become stronger and more intelligent the more people he currently has under his sway, gradually leveling up from a meek little level 1 Genestealer to a level 99 Patriarch Giga Chad, with claws that can slice through space marines like a chain blade through a Tau, and hypnotic stare that can subdue entire swathes of people in an instant. Quite a terrifying force to be reckoned with, and it only gets worse and worse as he continues giving people the old gene lick throughout all of this. Anyway, back to the actual cultists. Now, if you thought the situation was already pretty spooky as is, prepare for it to get even spookier. You see, while the first generation from these lovey-dovey couples will usually look like an ever-mentioned alien horror, this actually changes over time. Every generation has some different traits that makes them more and more adept at infiltrating their selected planet and bringing it down from within. So let's break them down a bit, since so much of their lore revolves around the different generations and how they work. The first generation, the Maelignanci. The Maelignanci are the first and already kinda touched upon generation of Genestealer hybrids. They basically just look like their original Genestealer grandpapa, except maybe a little bit more humanoid in some aspects of their appearance. Like Grandpa Stealer, they have multiple limbs, a big mouthful of teeth, and are usually more beast-like in their mindset than their eventual offspring or parents. On that note, the second generation, the hybrid. Without dwelling too long upon how those previously mentioned alien horrors procreate, the not so creatively named hybrids are the second generation of cultists, and it's usually the point where that whole infiltration and bring down from within business is beginning to take shape. Though they're still rather odd, the hybrids are actually intelligent enough to speak, work and just generally understand society in all its myriad of messed up imperial ways. As they possess the intelligence of a human and the strength, as well as multiple limbs, of a Genestealer, they're usually a pretty nifty asset to any cult that needs to get some heavy lifting or other serious work done. The third generation, the full hybrid. Another step up from the original alien abomination model, the full hybrids are actually humanoid enough that they can properly begin to infiltrate their host society. While they still won't be winning any beauty pageants, compared to some of the other fun folks that hang around the Underhive, they don't stand out too much from a distance. Now, that is a pretty heavy from a distance, as from up close they still have plenty of alien features to speak of, but again, it's quite a step up from the first generation and tends to be able to sneak by without kicking up too much of a fuss. As long as they don't forget to cover up a bit, that is. The fourth generation, the Primacy. And this is where it gets truly very spooky. The fourth generation is nearly indistinguishable from regular humans. They stand fully upright, think and talk like a human, usually don't have a few too many limbs, and can even go as far as to form genuine friendships and relationships with people. Where the previous generations were like that weird smelly kid in the back of the class, the Primacy are like the cool kids everyone wants to be friends with. They are hardworking, loyal, brave and generally A-rank citizens. As long as they remember to wear a hat, they can go on like this for years and years without anyone suspecting even so much as a thing. They can even infiltrate the Imperial Guard and begin messing with things from within there, usually pinching weaponry and even entire battle tanks once the galactic dinner bell rings and it's time to rise up. Up to this point, a cult can still be relatively easily noticed, as most of their members are clearly alien or at least pretty funky looking upon closer inspection, but after this point it can really be anyone's guess as to who is or isn't a Genestealer cultist. After the pretty swell primacy, you really only have one more generation, though I don't really count it as such, as it's quite literally just another Genestealer. Yeah, no, really, that's it. After all of that molding and fine-tuning, the next generation is just another basic level 1 Genestealer, who will either serve as another body to slice up folks with, or go off by itself to become another patriarch somewhere else. After which the entire cycle begins anew. Ain't nature a beautiful thing? But let's get back to that actual uprising business, which at this point is getting pretty far along in its planning stages, and the cult is beginning to make some serious progress to seize the means of production and stand up for everyone's equal right to be turned into a biomass milkshake. At this point, multiple different scenarios can play out. 1. The newer Tyranid Hive Fleet will send the cult a quick message over Skype to signal them that they are getting pretty close, and the cult may decide to rise up and take over the world in preparation for their alien overlords. 2. The cult may rise up by themselves, be it because they are in danger of being discovered or simply because their plentiful schemes are near completion. Afterwards, their resident Big Daddy Genestealer will send the Tyranid hive mind a message over Skype, saying that dinner has been served and there's a full all-you-can-eat buffet just waiting to be picked clean. 3. The cult may do either, but they get so horrifically stomped that they all get wiped out and fail completely. However, in typical Genestealer cult fashion, it's not over quite so easily. Because even if they do get completely smashed, some damage will still have been done. The cult definitely wouldn't go down without a fight, and even if it was a complete cakewalk for the defenders, there are still going to be some massive consequences. A loss of resources, cult sabotage, or even the seeds of distrust that have been sown by an uprising on such a large scale can still cripple any world in preparation for the Hive Fleet to arrive. And their so-called star gods honestly couldn't care less about what the outcome is. As long as the world is crippled or weakened in some way, the original Genestealers fulfilled their purpose, and the Hive Fleet will have an easier time because of it. Besides, who is to say the entire cult was wiped out? Who knows how many more Genestealers were dispatched to your planet, or if any survived their initial defeat? All it takes is a single Genestealer to go undiscovered for long enough, and the trouble starts all over again. You might be able to hold out against orcs, demons, or crazy space elves, but how long can you hold out against your own population? How long can you hold out against your friends and colleagues? If you can't trust anyone, how can you ever stand against any threat? You might not be able to trust yourself. For all you know, you yourself have been infected, and might have just turned into a ticking time bomb, just waiting until you kickstart a problem that you have tried so hard to stop or prevent from happening again. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this first video. As I briefly touched upon at the beginning, I will be making videos about history or lore from all sorts of things that interest me. It will be a rather varied bunch of stuff, so tune in and maybe subscribe if you're interested in any of that. I'll probably stick to Warhammer for the moment, but I'm planning on changing that up a bit eventually, if I get bored. It was quite a bit of lore to get across, and I know I probably missed quite a lot, so let me know your thoughts in the comments and if you'd maybe like to see another video on the Genestealer Cults at some point. I learned a lot during the making of this video, a lot, and there are plenty of things I want to improve for the next thing I make, but I did my best, and it's everything mistake you make is a lesson for next time, I suppose. If you're interested to see some of the minis I paint, you can go to my Instagram at barbecueminis, link is in the description. Yeah, that's enough stuff for now. I wish you all a good time hobbying or just doing something that makes you happy. And bye-bye. So usually this loving couple and their horrible nightmarish spawn won't be the only gay